Welcome to Author Talk at CBS News. I'm Jeff Glor, joined today by a special guest host.
Rebecca Jarvis. Good to be here. And a very special guest.
Yes, a very special guest. We're honored to have Frank Deford on. Frank, welcome to Author Talk. Frank's new memoir is out. It's called Over Time, and it looks back on his brilliant career as a writer of sports. You don't call yourself a sports writer.
No, because I think I write more than just about sports. I use sports as a launching pad to write about everything. You know, sports is a great thing to write about, Jeff. You've got drama, glamour, characters. Somebody wins, somebody loses. If you can't write about sports, boy, you ought to get out of the business.
You know, you cringed when we said that you've been doing this for 50 years.
Yeah.
Yet you have this energy. I mean, you what, 16 books, 17 books at this point?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
I mean, countless articles. Yeah. Where does that energy come from? I
think it comes from a fear of I don't want to stop running kind of thing. I love writing, and I think if I ever stop writing, I stop. And maybe that's crazy, but I love writing. I've never had any writer's block. I've never had those kind of troubles. Never.
But you can't.
I don't mean that every day I wake up and it just it flows, but I've never had the kind of angst and misery that some guys do.
How has your writing changed over those 50 years, do you think?
I think I'm a very versatile writer. Like, for example, writing for National Public Radio, a 3-minute commentary that I do, has got to be different than an article. I think even in that book, different chapters are written in different ways. I think somebody would have a hard time, satirizing me, because I do write differently, in different ways. The last novel I wrote was as a woman. And that was a little different.
That was a little different. No, well, I was going to say, I mean, the game has changed so significantly in those 50 years. And whether you look at baseball, basketball, tennis, they have all changed dramatically. And I wonder how that may have changed your approach and how you feel about your relationship to the players who are really these sports.
You have less access to the players now, Rebecca, than you ever did before, because there are more writers, because they use their own social media to go over top of you. I mean, when I first got into the game, that didn't exist. It didn't for a long time. So you do, the younger writers today, and I have great sympathy for them, have a great deal more difficulty talking to the players, getting to know them. I could really, had intimate relationships with lots of players. We get to know each other.
But guys like Bill Simmons have famously taken this approach of, like, I'm not going to get to know the players at all. I'm just going to write as a fan.
Yes.
Good idea, bad idea?
Well, that's really not. That's not a reporter. He's a blogger, and he does it very, very well. But I think he's depending, in effect, on other people, isn't he? Because he doesn't know the players, and so he's secondhand. He's a commentator. And he does it very, very well. But ultimately, he needs the press to find out about the players that he's going to write about.
I wonder how much the big money in the game has changed the players themselves, in your view.
Well, first of all, it's isolated them more. It's insulated them. The mere fact that they don't need winter jobs or off-season jobs has changed everything, Rebecca, because for at least 6 months of the year, when I first got to know them, they were real people. They worked selling cars or selling insurance or doing something like that. Once they made a great deal of money, then they moved into gated communities and they hung out with their own friends and their trainers and so forth. And it sort of removed them from the main world. That's where money has changed them more than anything else. And of course, some of them have been absolutely ruined by money, but not all of them by any matter of means.
Favorite players?
Favorite players?
Favorite athletes?
I grew up in Baltimore, and you love the players that you grew up with. It's like your first kiss. It's like you love the music when you were a kid. Johnny Unitas, Brooks Robinson. And that can never change. And then after 50 years, it hasn't. Nothing can change those first moments. Sports is for kids, isn't it?
There's so much wrapped up.
And you're always writing.
And you're always a kid when you're a sports fan, no matter how old you are. And so,
where do you write, and when do you write?
Like most writers, I write in the morning because you're freshest. I write in the same office in the house we live in Westport, Connecticut, and we've lived there for 35 years, and that's where I tend to write everything. I had a very hard time switching from a typewriter. Actually, the cover of the book shows me with that typewriter.
Yeah.
You know, almost in love with it, embracing it. And switching to computer was hard. It was like a new world I was stepping into.
But you're going on this tour. You cannot write on the road, generally speaking. No. You need to be home in that space.
Well, I can write in other places, but I'm a lot more comfortable writing there. Writers are creatures of habit. I always read that Victor Hugo wrote in the nude. He would give his valet his clothes in the morning, so that he couldn't leave until he'd written a certain amount of stuff. Now, that's sort of an extreme.
That'll help your writer's block.
That's extreme. But we all do have habits, there's no question, and you fall into that when you write every day.
It's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it. You've been watching Author Talk at CBS News.